already click on the virtual stage here and continue with your presentation.
Yep. Yes, I'm ready. Can everybody hears me?
Yes, I can hear you, Dr. Lau, so let's go ahead. Thanks.
Okay. All right. So let's start. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the webinars tonight. So tonight we're going to talk about how do you launch a coding career. So the agenda for tonight is number one, we're going to look at the different skills and technologies required, and of course what it takes to begin a coding career. And then we're going to look at our full stack 360 certifications. And for those who stay till the end, I mean, most of you attended our webinar before, right? So we'll give you some special bonus, and of course you'll get the slides and the notes. So feel free to make any notes that you need, write it down on paper and pencil. Most important thing is if there's anything that you are too shy to ask or I did not answer it clearly during the webinar, feel free to email me at drlau@thelead.io. Okay. So for those who do not know me or this is your first time attending our webinar, this is Dr. Lau, Chief Data Scientist at UCAN Technologies. So we build web-based enterprise analytics and cloud solutions like for clients like Johor Corporations, KFC, Pizza Hut, MDEC, etc. I was also the state advisor of Johor and Selangor for their smart cities and big data initiatives. So most of you know me as data scientist, right? I was also the Microsoft Excel World Champion, where we need to build analytics solution for data tasks using Excel function and VBA macros. So throughout my career, I did write a lot of code. Even when I work in Microsoft E-Research Center, it's a research job, but I'm the research developer. So we have to build a web portal to publish our results and share it with researchers around Australia. So during my time at Magic, most of you have heard of Magic before. It's a startup accelerator based in Cyberjaya. So I founded the academy. We created business programs, technical programs that help entrepreneurs to validate their ideas and build their products, and of course accelerate their startups. I'm HRDF certified trainer, expert panelist in MQA. So what I do is to certify IT and data science programs for universities like APU, Utah, and UITM. So that's also when I conducted corporate trainings for companies like FusionX, Intel, OCBC, Shell, etc. to train their engineers. So the purpose of showing you all this achievement is for you to understand how important is coding for everybody, including data scientists. Although I graduated with an IT degree, but everybody knows, right? Everybody in the industry knows it's not sufficient to become a good developer, but it's the 20 over years of experience in software and building products that leads me to become a full stack developer. So for those of you who are here, I heard from the Ruben say that the poll is most of you are looking to switch to a coding career, right? But on that, you might have different purposes. Some of you are looking to earn some side income by becoming a freelancer, or some of you have an idea, you want to build your own startup ideas, or you're a business owner, you try to digitalize your, don't really like the word digitize, but digitalize your business and bring it online. And probably you are currently developers, you want to learn more about the latest technologies, or anybody who are interested to get into coding as a career. So for myself, right, I started my career when I was 10, 12 years old. I started writing codes for people to make a living. Those are the time where we use DOS, like students from informatics, they'll come to us to help them to do their homework. And then when I was in Australia, I founded Cooperating, or now it has been rebranded as Plus, and serve as a CTO. So most of the software developers, eventually they'll become VP of engineering or CTO in a startup or corporation. So Cooperating or Plus is a social platform, it's a social startup where people gather and manage their social projects. So the entire platform was built using ASP.NET, Microsoft SQL, and then were deployed to Azure, the cloud solutions. The other startups I built in Australia is Hero Boyfriend. So Hero Boyfriend is a B2C e-commerce startups using natural language processing engine, and machine learning. So back then, chatbots is very popular. So we built a chatbot to talk to users and find out their preferences and their girlfriends. So we use machine learning model to model these preferences to recommend activities like watching movies, gift packages, and also remind lazy girlfriends, lazy boyfriends when it's time to buy their girlfriend some presents. Okay, so this is I founded Hero Boyfriend much later. So the entire web service was built using JavaScript, and the front end that you saw are React Native, a hybrid mobile app that allow us to build and run on both iOS and Android. Okay, so let's talk about your career options if you are moving into, let's say, a coding career. So number one, you might choose to work in a corporate. So this is where most of the people will choose, right? Especially if you just graduated from college or your university. Working in the corporate is actually not a bad idea. So for example, DG, right? This is a software developer position using Node.js, a backend framework for JavaScript. So you need to know how to develop web applications with AngularJS, backend Node.js code using Express.js framework, and also able to understand and debug complex code bases. Know how to write unit tests, writing SQL using Git, and cloud platform like AWS will be an advantage. So these are the basic requirements to choose to work in the corporates. Your responsibility is to take part in sprint planning, writing readable code. These are pretty standard stuff. DevOps is development operation, so you need to know how to put things into servers. When server is down, you know what to do. So for the past few days, right, you have heard a lot of news about, I think it started from Facebook, and then Google, and then iCloud, and yeah, I think Google, Facebook, Gmail, Facebook, iCloud, and now Stack Overflow. So yeah, those are part of DevOps. When you are running such a big company, with a lot of servers, that's unavoidable. Okay, so but those are not normal software engineers' job. Those are more DevOps. Okay, average software engineer, senior software engineer or developer, they make about 83,000 in Malaysia. So that's equivalent to about this is per year, yeah, of course. That's about 7 to 8,000 per month. Okay, so a couple of our students who work in different places, like we got students working in AirAsia, Mercedes. Their salary is about that range, 6 to 7,000, depending on how much stuff that you know. And usually we call it generalist, right? Someone who is generalist, they usually make a bit more money than those who are specialists. Like if you only know how to work on front end, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, or you only know how to work on back end, you are a bit rugi in the sense, right? So it's better to become a generalist. At least you know how to handle back end and front end and a little bit of database. So usually if you work in corporates, you are expecting bonus but not too much of profit sharings unless you are in very senior position. Okay, so corporates is good, especially if you are fresh grads. So you shouldn't go to startup just yet, because startup is very chaotic environment. Everything is messy. In corporate, you really learn how to specialize in your role. It gives you, I would say, relatively stable, secure work environment. Yeah, startup is different unless you are funded startups, or you are startup who have raised fund up to Series C, Series D, and in a large scale. For example, like Faith. Okay, they're still being considered as a tech startup, but they are very mature startup. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. So Faith is looking for software engineer as well. Yeah, they always look for full stack. So full stack software developer, full stack engineers are someone who can handle both front end and back end, like I mentioned earlier. Responsibilities are the same, right? Clean, maintainable, efficient code. and yada yada yada, and then they talk about their benefits, and yeah, pretty much standards. So if you're looking at jobs in startup, right, you can look at the salary part and also the equity part, because a lot of startup founders, they don't mind giving some of the early co-founders or early employees some shares as compensation, because they can't really pay you too high of a salary. So if you want to have some Amil, video seems to be stuck. Can you refresh it? I'll refresh it from my end as well. Anyone having problems with the video? I'm still here. Yeah, I'm just fixing the video. Do let me know if you have any issue, yeah? Okay, good. Thanks, Leonard. Alright, so where was I? Salary, yeah. So startup, usually they won't pay you too much salary, but they'll pay you equity in return. So this is a website called angel.co, or Angelis, ANGEL.co. You can look for a lot of startup related jobs. So usually they're looking for technical co-founders. So technical co-founder means that the founder themselves who doesn't really know how to code, or who doesn't really want to code. All right, I'm quite against startups where the founder, especially the CEO, don't really know how to code. It's like you run a cafe, but then you don't know how to make coffee. Yeah, or open a restaurant, but you don't know how to cook. Similar, right? The analogy is the same. So you're 100% relying on someone else to handle all your technical work. So I'm not saying that you must do the technical work. In fact, a lot of startup fails because the CEO are too much into the tech. But you must know what is the right technology so that you can communicate with the team. A lot of the companies in Malaysia are facing the same issues. They try to work with freelancers. They try to work with their tech team, but because the project manager, the tech lead do not know much about tech, or did not keep himself updated, that's where a lot of clashes and problems and overpromise comes in. All right, so the salary varies from 50,000 to 160,000. This is in US dollar, and also of course the share, right, from less than 0.24%. Majority of them, they'll give you about 0.5 to 3%. Yeah, that's the norm that I see even in Malaysia. But do bear in mind though, when you sign a contract with a startup, okay, when they mention they want to give you equity, usually they won't give you upfront, meaning that they say, okay, I will give you 3% of our company. They won't give you upfront. They will do something called vesting, meaning that they give you 1% for the first 12 months that you work, and then another 2% after you have completed you have served for 3 years, something like that. Okay, so do bear that in mind. Another one, which is a very popular option in Malaysia, is to work as freelancer. As you know, right, traffic in KL is crazy. Some of you have kids, you need to look after your parents. So going to work, you don't really like to leave your country, leave your state, or leave your country as well, right? Like when I was in JB, a lot of people, they want to go to Singapore to work. So freelancer is a relatively good option as well. So you can go to Upwork or freelancer.com to look at the types of jobs that are posted there. So a lot of time they're looking for small jobs, but sometimes they are continuous long-term job as well. So small job will be something like this. Create a website. Okay, create a website with a front end and back end, with a simple front end and back end. So, and then it's usually about 250 US dollars. So they'll also state that the skill level that they're requiring, and also the skills and expertise that they need. Now for expert full stack for long-term job, it will be something slightly different, right? They'll say expert full stack developer needed part-time to handle our projects, and web development, and that's an ongoing type of project. So they will tell you how many hours, and then what are the duration also. Okay, for full stack developers, they're looking for a lot of skills, right? Bootstrap, PHP, CSS, HTML, JavaScript, MySQL, web design, etc. Okay, so freelancer, their salary is slightly different. So they go by per hour. The median hourly rate is about 60 to 80 US dollar. And then junior, even when you are starting out, they charge about 40 to 60. But be careful of website like Upwork or freelancers.com. There are a lot of competition there, so some people they can go as low as $8-12 per hour. So you do need to be patient if you want to be a freelancer actively on those websites. All right, otherwise on average, once you have survived or pull through the first stages, I mean, you get some referral, people start to give you good reviews, you can make about 80 to 120 dollar per hour. That's super good. 100 US dollar per hour is like $400 per hour. $400 400 ringgit per hour. I think this is more than what a listed company CEO make in Malaysia already, right? In most cases. All right. So one thing about full stack developer is that you need to be very disciplined. Okay, because you need to keep yourself occupied. Okay, you need to actively go out and build your portfolio, look for jobs, talk to your clients, and then be patient, etc. So nobody is there guiding you. You're your own boss, and then you work for yourself, right? So that's one thing that you need to know when you decided to become a freelancer. Okay, any question, feel free to type in the chat box. Okay, I'll answer them. All right, so next thing, I mentioned a couple of times full stack developer, right? So let's take a look of the skill sets required for a full stack developer. So number one is the front end. You always hear people look for front end designers, web designers, but most of the time they are referring to the front end. Right, even if people Chinese New Year, your friends and relatives visit you, they say, "Oh, you build website." Most of the time, when they say you build website, they are looking for front end, right? They don't really mean the back end or the database. Front end is basically your forefront or the shop front of your website, so everything that your users are going to see. Now, in front end, no matter how big or how small is the website, whether you are looking at Facebook, Google, Yahoo, Grab, Lazada, eBay, PayPal, or even the lead.io, right? We are using the same language for all the for all the front end part of your website, which is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. HTML handles the structure of a website. All right, so where is the divisions, where is the line, where is the paragraph, where is the links, is all defined by HTML. Okay, but that's only the structure part. So you also need to include the design and look and feel, and that's what is handled by the CSS. Okay, CSS doesn't care what is the content. CSS only handles the look and feel. And the third one is JavaScript. So JavaScript is the coding or the coding language that is used in your front end. And I mentioned in many different videos also, in near future, JavaScript will be supported by even more devices. At the moment, it's the only language that is supported by front-end browsers, meaning that your Google Chrome, your Firefox, your IE, even your mobile phones, your watches, your iPads or TVs, they all understand or support JavaScript to a certain extent. And sooner or later, when 5G comes and you're in your IoT era, everything is wired up. So your televisions, your fridge, your oven, they're all going to understand and support JavaScript to a certain extent. Okay, so front end is everything your user sees and interact, and this also include UI and UX, user interface design and user experience design. But most of the companies in Malaysia, they don't care much about UI UX just yet. And then when we do front end design and do front end programming and coding, right, we usually use front end libraries and frameworks that help us to keep keep our job simple, and then everybody follow a set of frameworks to write their code. So for example, we can use Bootstrap for responsive web development. It contains CSS and UI elements. So for example, we can use Bootstrap to design a web page that is that renders nicely when you use them in mobile phones, iPad, and also your desktop and laptop. And then you have React.js, Vue.js, and AngularJS. They are all front-end data binding framework. That's an oversimplified statement, but they are all solving a problem in their own ways. Okay, so remember Bootstrap, React, Vue.js, AngularJS, they are all CSS or JavaScript frameworks that we use. So the reason why we use them is because we want to streamline and unify our workflow. So for example, your designer can use Bootstrap, and then when you put that into your website, you can almost certain that it's going to work as expected because you are using the same language and same sort of ways to develop your website. These four are considered the four heavenly king in front-end development libraries. Now, one thing you need to note is that a lot of time people sort of interchangeably use the words library and framework. All right. So the difference between library and framework is that this is your application. Library is something that you call it. All right. And then framework is something that calls you. So for example, if I use jQuery or a particular framework, let's say I use Bootstrap framework or Vue.js, my code has to follow the grammars and the structures and the definition of the particular framework. And that's what I meant by framework calls us. But whenever we use a library, let's say we use a component library, we use an element library, and we can use it to call from our application code. And don't forget, a framework usually will contain a library as well. Okay, so this is the differences between library and a framework. Sometimes when you go for interview, they will ask you this question. Sometimes they don't really understand the difference as well. Okay, so once you have understand the front end, the next thing that you need to know is the back end. Okay, so this is a typical web architecture. In internet or in web, right? Everything that you see is handled by a server behind the scenes sitting in a data center somewhere. For example, if you type google.com, it is contacting Google server in the US or the location you detected, for example, Malaysia or Singapore, the nearest server. And if you visit Lazada, it will be hosted in Malaysia, and each of them, they have their own server farms, right? So what happens when we browse a web page is that, say, you enter google.com in the address bar, we're actually sending a request to the server, all right? So we send this request to the server through internet in the middle, and then the server, let's say Google server, Facebook server, they will generate the response based on our request. All right, so okay, if you don't understand, I'll go slow motion replay. Now this is you, right? You want to visit Google, so you go to the address bar, enter google.com. Then that means we are sending a request to Google server saying that we want to search something or we want to view their web page. So Google server will return a response, which is a generated web page, those HTML code, CSS, JavaScript, and the images to you, and then you render them on your local server. Okay, and sorry, on your local browser. So this is server, and then this is browser, which is also you are the client. So this is what we call a client-server architecture. So for Google case, your request can be a query string that you want to search. Facebook will be a profile page that you want to see, and AirBNB will be a list of houses nearby your vacation area. And don't forget, even if you are using mobile applications, right? We are using the same architecture. Okay, so even if you are using mobile application, you will still send the request to the servers, and then you get the response. Okay, so in short, backend is everything behind the scene that we can't see. Okay, is there any questions so far? All right, so if there's no question, let's proceed. So once again, backend is everything behind the scene. Okay, now when it comes to backend, usually we will talk about something which is the programming language that we use. So in backend, we usually the most popular one will be PHP. So Google, Facebook, a lot of website, even WordPress, we use PHP as the language. And apart from PHP, you have other languages like if you are Microsoft supporters, then most likely you will be using ASP.NET with C# or VB.NET as the language. Then if you are Python fans, then you will most likely you'll be using Django or Flask, Flask, Flask framework as your backend language and backend web framework. If you are using JavaScript, then you will be using Node.js. You'll be writing codes in Node.js as your backend language. All right, these are the more popular ones. Of course, there are other languages like Go, Ruby on Rails, Elixir, etc. Yeah. So after you have your front end and your back end settled already, the next thing that you need to do is to set up a database. So when it comes to database, we have two primary types of database: structured databases and unstructured database. Database mainly is the place where we store data. So MySQL and Microsoft SQL are two of the most popular database engine for structured data and also relational data. If you have a less rigid or required flexible data format, so let's say my students in DRB HighCom, then this sort of structured data might not be suitable for their use case because they are getting data from different servers and different sensors. So if they need to do that, they need to use a non-relational database like MongoDB or Firebase. All right, MongoDB and Firebase, they are a type of unstructured database, or what we call non-relational SQL, NoSQL. These, especially MongoDB and Firebase, they are very good at storing unstructured data that is like document format, which is in JSON format. So if you have a less rigid and constantly changing or database or data type, then unstructured database like MongoDB and Firebase will be a better choice because it makes your job easier. Otherwise, when you use structured database, you do have to always update your database design and table schema. Alright, so after you got your front end, back end, and also your database setter, the next thing that you need is actually hosting. So you need a web hosting server. You always hear this, right? People talk about, yeah, you need hosting. So what does hosting means? There are two types of hosting as well. Number one is shared hosting. Hosting is like your physical storage place where you keep all the stuff. Shared hosting is like you rent a unit inside a shopping mall. So all the basic features like electricity, internet, security is provided. The main thing is that you have less flexibility because you are in a shared environment, like you share things with people. So whatever you do, you need to get the permission from the landlord or the owner. On the other hand, cloud computing is like renting a shop lot on the main street. So you will have the flexibility, but you need to sort out your own internet, like company secretary, mailing address, etc. Okay, so the typical example of cloud hosting would be like Amazon Web Services, AWS, Google Cloud Platform, GCP, Microsoft Azure, and also DigitalOcean. So the good things about cloud hosting is that you have the freedom. You have the freedom that you can do whatever you want. So even you want to install latest version of Node.js, you want to install scripts side by side, they don't care. Yeah, but you just need to be on your own and set up everything. But most of the time they provide those one-click setup. So if you are not using something that is true non-mainstream, then you'll be fine. Okay. So lastly, we should look at mobile applications. So mobile apps architecture is similar, very similar, almost identical to web architecture. Okay, so same thing, everything that you see is handled by a server behind the scenes sitting somewhere at the data center. So if you visit google.com from your phones, from your iPads, or from your watches, you still go to the same server and then retrieve or generate a web page. The main difference between a mobile app website or mobile apps architecture, and a web architecture is the retrieved and generated web page are different. That's all. If you are a data-driven website using API, you are retrieving the same set of data, it's just that it's displayed differently. So for example, if you think of Facebook, right, the data that you retrieve from Facebook and display on your website is exactly the same data that you retrieve from Facebook and display on your mobile phones. Okay, now when it comes to building mobile phone, you have different options. Number one is native app. This is the one that provides the best user experience, but it's also the most expensive one. Okay, so you only see native application mostly in games or apps that require a lot of native features. Like for example, if you use Samsung, you need to use Samsung Note, especially you need to use their pen, right? On the other hand, if you let's say if you use iOS and you want your app to be run on iOS systems only, okay, iOS devices, then you have to write native applications. Native applications allow you to access all the features inside the phone. And the other one on the middle is hybrid application. Hybrid application is something like what you usually hear, React Native or Ionic, which is still running on the operating system, but instead they give you a wrapper. They give you something to wrap so that it looks like an app, but it's actually not an app. It's an app running within the wrapper. So I would say the features is about 70-80% there. Only when 3D rendering and a lot of the underlying core features you are not allowed to access. Otherwise, for normal business use cases, especially if you are a startup trying to build your MVP, hybrid app is a good option. Now, lastly, if you really cannot afford to build a web application on your mobile application on your own, then you might choose to build a web applications. So a web application is a website, but it runs on the mobile phone web browsers. Yeah. So if you can see, right, they're all same, right? Your app is always the one on top layer, but what is different is the underlying engine that's running it. So you can run it on a web browser, run it on a native wrapper app, or you write your own. So think about it, if you write a native app, then you need to have at least two developers. One is handling iOS, the other one is handling Android. Otherwise, if you use hybrid, you can just write once and the code will run on both. Okay, so let's take a look at a live demo. So I'll walk you through what I have meant. So this is an AirBNB clone website. Obviously, it's not a very beautiful version, but we clone the functionality to show you that how easy is it to build a website that allow you to enter details, and then you pick the type of packages that you want, and then you can submit and save it on a database, in an online database. So let's first look at the front end. All right, so let's view the page source. So let me zoom in. Okay, so once again, every single website that you see online, you can go to view page source and look at the code, and the only difference is the scale and the complexity of the website. So some of them you understand, some of them is too complex that you cannot understand. So for example, Google, right? You can view page source on for Google as well, but just that is there's a lot of information. They try to obfuscate the information, so that it's very hard for you to see what is going and try to hack the website. All right, so the one that we are using here, most of the websites are relatively simple, especially if you go to government website or news website. They are pretty straightforward. So just like Google, yeah, we use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript as well. So this is the HTML code, and yeah, it defines the structure, and then you have the CSS here. Okay, you have the CSS code here, and you have a bit of JavaScript here, and also a bit of JavaScript at the end. Now, usually, as a best practice, we will put CSS style before your HTML content, because your browser, when your browser is loading, when it's rendering stuff, you'll go from top to bottom. Okay, you'll render it line by line, and let me know if I go too fast. So it's good to load those CSS style first, so that when your browser hit the bottom part, all right, it will render the content based on your CSS, so it wouldn't look ugly in a sense. And why do we usually put the JavaScript at the bottom? Because that is to make sure that your HTML elements, your views, your page are loaded first, then only it runs all the scripts. Okay, because JavaScripts usually are thick and heavy. It's going to load some data, it's going to do some calculations or processing. All right, so this is the difference here. So best practice, load CSS first at the top, and then load JavaScript at the end. If you look at the tutorials online, they're mostly doing the same thing. If they are not, either they have specific reasons, like for example jQuery JavaScript usually is loaded first, because we need to use it for a lot of activities. Otherwise, they will advise you to load the JavaScript later, or you can ask them. Yeah. All right, so this is the front end part. So after we have created our front end, it looks something like this, and it looks pretty standard because I use something called Bootstrap, right? I've told you before. So Bootstrap is a very popular HTML, CSS, and JavaScript libraries here. So within Bootstrap, you can get different themes. Okay, so you realize that all the modern websites, they look the same because they mostly follow Bootstrap design. All right, they all look very familiar, right? Even if you buy it from website like Envato, Envato, Team Forest, yeah, they all looks pretty similar because most of them, they use Bootstrap as the modern design trend. Now you have a lot of the elements also here. So for example, I can look at the components. Yeah, these are the alerts, and then you have a lot of other stuff. For example, buttons. So you have standardized button. You realize that my buttons look the same too, right? Yeah, left, right, middle. So you can have buttons and carousel. Okay, carousel meaning that moving image at the top, and there are a lot of others. Yeah, I'll leave it to you to explore and figure out. So this is the front end part. And because we use Bootstrap, so I can assume that if nothing goes wrong, this is going to be responsive as well. Okay, so let me show you. Imagine I'm using iPhone X 100%. All right, I don't have to refresh. This is the beauty of Bootstrap. It automatically renders the page to mobile responsive. Yeah, I was going to say mobile compatible, but it's mobile responsive. Okay, so this is how your website looks like, and then you can also turn it the other way around, right? Change the orientations, yeah, from landscape to portrait, and you can also change, try to use other device. Yeah, like this is how it's going to look like when you use it on iPad. Obviously, iPad is slightly bigger, so you get more pixels as well. Okay, so this is the good part of using the CSS framework like Bootstrap. And what I've shown you is the front end. So next we are going to look at backend. So what backend does is some business logic and your processing. So in this particular case, I can't show you the database and backend because I'm using Firebase. So it's calling Google straight away. But what we are going to do here is we can, when something happens, right? Let's say submit form. All right, so this submit form is linked to our button here. Okay, so when we click the submit button, which is this one, yeah, all right, when you click the submit button, then you can we're going to call the submit function, submit form function. Here we capture the name, email address, arrival date, number of days, selected items using jQuery to capture the values from the text boxes. And then we call our Firebase code to say db.collection.bookings at name, email, arrival date, number of days, selected item. And then when it's done, then it will alert you to say booking submitted successfully. Otherwise, it will cache it and show you an error. Okay, so this is the business logic part, and things happen behind the scene, right? We can put that into a server as well. And the third thing is your database. So this is Firebase. So let me show you. Alright, this is the Firebase. So we have a Firebase console. Yeah, that helps you to keep all your data. So you have a free database here. To keep all your bookings. Yeah. Okay. So HTML, CSS, JavaScript as your backend, and Firebase as your database and also your backend. And I've also shown you the mobile apps, mobile application as well, right? Mobile web view. So SH asks, how do you go to mobile view? So yeah, Ruben is right. Right click, inspect, then there's this mini icon here on your bottom left. It says toggle device toolbar, right? So you just click on it, or press Apple Shift M, or if you're a Windows user, press Control Shift M. Then it gives you this device preview toolbar. So then you can switch it to different devices. So let's say you are iPhone 6 users, then you can look at it a bit skinnier. And then if you are you can edit and define your own dimension as well. But if you're iPhone X, then this is how it looks like. Okay, yep, keep those questions coming. All right, leave them in the chat box. So if you look at original AirBNB website when it started, then you'll be laughing at it, right? This is really the original website that they built 10 years ago. Once again, they use it to validate their ideas, gain traction, and raise funds. And if you search online, if you search YouTube, right, there's a lot of war stories about how they started. But this is exactly how they started, because my first startup started at the same time as them. So most of the time, the different places, I was in Australia, but different type of meetings, and we went to fundraise, we will meet them. Yeah, I'm not going to show you how to build this, of course, right? Because what we are showing you here is something like this. Yeah, after they got money, they got tractions, they got customers, and this is how they look like today. Okay, and this is how ours look like today. Okay, so let's get to the question of how do you start. Now, in order to start, right, to start a career, to start freelancing, or to start working in a corporate, you do need to know how much a website costs, okay? So that you wouldn't overpromise to your clients, overpromise to a boss, or even if you're a project manager, you're a tech lead. A lot of the tech lead, they simply overpromise or undervalue the difficulty of tasks. So the cost of a website in Malaysia: freelancer, website builder, and web design agency. Website builder is something like Wix or WordPress templates, those that you buy. Then you spin off, you just get a shared hosting to run your WordPress site, and then you upload it. We use that to build landing page, but if you have a proper website, a proper business that requires a lot of application, I usually don't recommend it. But if you have static pages, by all means, go for it. So a website builder will cost you from zero. As a Wix is going to cost you $0. You don't have to pay anything, but you do need to put up their logo there. And if you pay for the pro version, it will be $300, sometimes for a year, etc. But you always have to pay for a domain name. That's like 30 to 80 ringgit per year. And if you hire a freelancer, right, it will range from 500 to 5,000 ringgit, depending on your complexity and how they charge you lah. Yeah, how do you negotiate with them? You know, you can always nego a friend price, a bro price. But the risk of freelancer is that they will do the job and run halfway. Right? We heard of this story many times. They're okay when they start to build a website with their web project, and then halfway they cabut lah because it's too hard, or sometimes they just don't know how to continue. Otherwise, the safer version will be go for web design agency. Web design agency range from 3,000 to 100,000 ringgit. 3,001 would be those basic static website. You give them 4-5 A4 pages of content. They help you to do some sort of design, set up a servers. That's about it. 3,000 bucks. Very simple. Yeah, for design agency. 3,000 ringgit might mean quite a bit for a freelancer, but for design agency, really, this is nothing. And 100,000, it can be from different type of features. Yeah, memberships, payment gateway integration, sending emails, etc. So the good thing about web design agency, if they are reputable and they are in the business long enough, they usually will deliver on time. But the problem is they're expensive lah. Okay, so better off just use a calculator. Okay, so let me show you how to use this calculator. So this website is called How Much Does a Website Cost? Okay, so let's get started. Now, how many marketing pages you will need? So you just need to answer a series of questions. Let's say how it works, contact us, team, about, press, terms, FAQ, hiring. We're not greedy, right, to start off with. We just want 4 to 9 pages. Less than 10, we don't have that much content also. And do people have to log in? Yes, but I just want them to be able to log in socially, yeah? Just using Facebook, Twitter, or Google. And do you want to allow them to create personal profiles? A profile means that some people that use your app will have to enter information about themselves. Probably not, yeah? We're not doing Facebook. Just to allow them to log in, but they don't need to have a profile page. Yes, we definitely want to accept payments. All right, credit cards, PayPal, Bitcoin, never mind. Do you want people to rate or review something? So let's think about it. We just want a simple marketing website that allow people to submit forms and make some bookings. Okay, maybe we'll allow them to rate our services. Does your website needs to connect with another app or website? For example, share data with a mobile application? Yes, definitely yes. We are planning to have our mobile apps in future. Does your website need search? Yes. Okay. So I'm going to show you how much it costs to build something that's similar to AirBNB. And do you need a content management system? Update your site without writing code like blog? Yes, you need to. Okay, so your custom website estimate is about 28,000 to 34,000. So show breakdown. This is what we have selected. Okay, how we got your estimate? Now, these estimates are based on their experience of years designing and building products like mobile apps, web, and marketing website. The budgets are meant to be ballpark figures. Okay, so it vary depending on how much you decide to execute a features, and also the actual cost depending on the specific functionality. But this one should give you a very good idea about how do you charge or if you are a buyer, right, how much you are expecting to pay. Now, I wouldn't say you can convert this number one to one from USD to ringgit, okay, because a good website will not cost 30,000. I would say take it with a pinch of salt, times 2 at least. So a good website in Malaysia that has the features that I've mentioned at least going to cost you about 50,000 to 70-80,000. Yeah, that's again the ballpark figure. And most of the consultants or web designers, senior developers that I know out there is charging about 100 to 150 per hour for their work, because they're doing it alone, and sometimes they themselves outsource it to somebody else. So you have to understand the logic behind. Okay, so with that, right, you can calculate, let's say 4 weeks, all right, and 40 hours per week times, just say 100. Okay, so a senior web designer, freelance or full stack developer who is going to work on your website is going to charge you about 16,000, and then if you times 3 months, all right, times 3, that's about 48 to 50,000, which is pretty close to what I've mentioned, right? If they were to work on something full time like AirBNB, it would take them at least 3 months to complete it, and then another 1 to 2 months to polish it, because you don't know how to modify a simple thing like changing the color of the text or edit text. You need to call them up, yeah. So yeah, expect at least 50,000. So if not, then you can try to do your own hire, right? If you're working in a company, they'll usually hire you. So they'll hire a full stack developers, they'll hire engineers, they'll hire another, let's say, designer, right? Back end, front end. So one full stack, one front end, one back end. This is about 3%. Each of them going to cost you about 5 to 6,000 if they're normal. At least they are not junior, like, yeah. They are at least experienced, not senior, but is at least going to cost you about 5,000 in today's market rate. So again, that's to cost you another 15,000. Okay, so this gives you a rough idea about how should you charge, and then how much should you budget if you want to hire somebody. Okay, so number 2, how do you learn to find free or cheap resources? Okay, this is something that a lot of people don't quite understand. All right, whenever we say cheap, right, we mean low cost. Okay, not cheapskate type of cheap. We will never trade quality over money, never. So let me show you some of the website that we always use. Number 1 is Envato Elements. So Envato Elements charge you for 16.50 per month. Okay, for 16.50 per month, let me sign in. I'll show you what you're going to get. Okay, you're going to get all sort of assets, icons, templates, fonts, photos, videos, and many different things. So let's say, okay, let's do AirBNB also, right? Accommodation. So accommodation, then you can look at photos. You can have different type of graphic templates that's already done for you. You want hotel style, you want Airbnb style, backpacker style, everything is there. And if you don't know how to design a logo and you don't want to hire, you can get graphics there also. Yeah, all right, you can look for graphics. Use it for your infographic, use it for your logos, and if you want to pitch and raise fund, they do have presentation as well. Yeah, PowerPoint template. So it's very handy. Envato Elements, $16.50, so about 50 ringgit per month. You get all sort of these design elements. See, even in the stock video section, they have something that comes in 4K now. Yeah, all you have to do is to download, edit the wordings, and then you can use it. Now you know why a lot of Malaysian websites, whatever photo that they use, also all masala pictures. This is where they get it. In Lead, we try not to do that. All right, we always use our students with their permission as our stock photo. Otherwise, worst case scenario, we cannot get decent stock photo. You will see my face and Ruben's face there. Okay, that's what I'm particular of. Yeah, cannot use Masaleh photos for Malaysian work, right? Cannot tahan. Okay, uh, joke aside, okay, sidetrack a little bit. If you are looking for icons, especially nice icons, vectors icons, or I'm a big fan of icons. So we can go to freepik.com. Okay, freepik is for you to look. Oh, sorry, freepik is for you to look for stock photos and abstract art. So let's say you look for hotels, right? And it does comes with uh, logos and icons as well. Okay, these sort of pictures I don't mind lah. Yeah, you can't really tell whether it's Masaleh or local. Then yeah, this is a bell. A bell is a bell. So these are fine, especially images like these. You can find them in Freepik. Now you do have a premium version as well, so do check out for things like this one, right? The image like this, they do have a premium resource, so you need to go premium and pay for it. We did not buy Freepik Premium because most of the stuff that we want, we can get it from Envato Elements, or otherwise our own designer can handle that. Okay. And then I mentioned icons. Yeah, flat icon is the one that you look for icons, right? You see a lot of nice line art icon. They got black and white versions. They got color versions, and the one that I use here is the one that I purchased. Yeah, this is a different version, so you cannot find it online. Flat icon, but you do get a lot of nice little icons here, especially for generic things like hotel. You look at the icons, ooh, so many. You can get bells, you can get lift, or is that toilet, luggages, yeah, sleeping icon. So very high quality, right? They're all SVG, meaning that vector art. You can zoom 200, 300x, also still they'll look nice. Okay, so this is flat icon. Is there anything else that I missed? Yes, stock photo. There are other places that you can look for stock photo as well, like Unsplash. Okay, unsplash.com is a place that you can look for beautiful and free stock photo like this. Very nice, very artsy. Sometimes it's too artsy until I don't know how to use them in my presentation, but very nice photo. Okay, let's say look for hotel. Yeah, these are the images that you don't have to pay. Not only they are free, but they are also royalty free. Sometimes they do require you to credit or attribute to the author, meaning that you put a link to them, or just put some nice words below that say, oh, this photo is taken by who and who, or where do you get it. That's about it. When they are small, they usually won't come and disturb you, so don't worry too much. And also pixels. Okay. Right, so do take note about them. Otherwise, leave your question in the comment. Myself or Ruben will be able to answer you. So these are more on the front end side. On the back end side, you do need database, which is Firebase that I've shown you earlier, right? This is firebase.com. So Firebase is very reliable because it's a product that is from Google. They do have free and paid tier as well, but the free tier should be enough. It allows you to store 1 gig of data and 10 gig of traffic per month. If you hit more than that, I mean, congratulations, you're on your way to become a next unicorn startup already. So, or even if you are a normal company, if you have that sort of traffic, then your boss wouldn't mind paying 100 ringgit per month to bump it up to 20 gig and 2.5 gig of data. So when you store text data, right, text data does not take up a lot of space, so don't worry too much. And then anything beyond that is only a mere $5 per gigabyte, so to store. And yeah. Okay, so this is Firebase. And lastly, you will need to have this thing called SendGrid. SendGrid is an email delivery service that allows you to send email through cloud. So when you run your own website, right? Let's say the AirBNB example that I've shown you before. When a customer sign up for they book a package, they book for a particular date, you need to send them a notification email saying that, hey, thank you very much, we have received your orders, blah 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 blah. You need a service like SendGrid that helps you to send email. Okay, And last but not least, once you have everything set up, you do need to track the performance of your website, and that's where Google Analytics comes in. Okay, so Google Analytics. So to use Google Analytics is very simple. You just need to copy and paste a chunk of JavaScript code into every single page. Then it will help you to track how many users come to your website, and then who are the audience, the different type of users, where are they from, their demographics, what else, there's a lot. I'm not expert in Google Analytics, yeah. Ruben is, because as part of the digital marketing, they do need to know how to use these sort of tools to help them to analyze their users, their visitors, and to see which page converts well and which page does not. Yeah, I do know a little bit here and there, like understand the user flow, because that's part of my job also as a CTO, and also understand like what type of devices that they use, so I know what type of browsers that we need to support. So for example, most of the people who come to our website is iPhone, and then Google Pixel 3. See, rich people. Okay, so that includes you also, right? All right, and then different type of technologies, different browsers, Google Chrome, Safari. I'm surprised that some people still use IE and Edge. They probably browse our website while working. Okay, so I'll show you some of the cool free / cheap resources. Right, so I have seen a lot of websites, so a lot of people, when they bought templates, come on, a template is only like going to cost you about 50-60 ringgit. You can use it to charge your client for at least 2,000 to 3,000, yeah, part of your investment. So don't be cheapskate, don't save money on graphics or your templates, yeah. All right, so make sure to do that. And website speed is also very important. Number 3, okay, you need to build a side project. A lot of people neglect this part as well. They think like, oh, I just want to get a job, right? So they always send resume. But think about it. When you look for startup companies, when you look for job in corporates, they don't just look at your resume. A lot of time people get a job because they were referred by somebody. So if you build your own side project and the side project is very interesting, people will start noticing you, right? Like 2014, that time we built a community website called mybanjir.com. That is where we gathered a lot of web developers from the country, and then we built a news portal that inform people when there's a flood. Okay, so I would say build a side project. Share your projects on social media, especially Facebook, LinkedIn. Don't spend too much time on Facebook. Yeah, the ROI is inconsistent. But LinkedIn, Quora, Stack Overflow, these sort of places, you should hang out more in these sort of places, because that's where your potential colleagues, your potential employer hang out. Okay, and get your work out there. Get somebody to critiques about it. We do have a lead knowledge circle where Ruben can share with you the link later after the webinar, so you can join them, put up your website, put up your work. We are more than happy to give you comments and feedback about your website too. Okay, so that's about it for tonight. So before we go in for the Q&A, now, if you want to pursue a career in web development, like my student Manfai here, he was an iOS developer, so he was a very good designer on app, user interface, and user experience, or what we call UI UX design. But what he realized is that his lack of full stack knowledge, so it makes it very difficult for him to progress in his career. He always need to rely on another backend developer to help him to make changes, to configure routes, writing API, and write queries to retrieve data from databases. So that really slowed him down, because many of the advanced features actually rely on server side and not just the app or the front end, right? So after picking up the full stack skills, he's now able to progress and build more advanced mobile applications. He's now working as a full stack developer, handling the iOS app in Cycle and Carriage, the company that sells MERS. So he's handling their enterprise mobile app that only used internally. Okay, so I know many of you plan to progress to a full stack developer, web programming, or even the tech career, right? So one of the options is to continue to do things on your own, spend a lot of times, $100,000, figure things out on your own. But eventually you will get stuck and frustrated because you realize that you are moving on very slowly without any support. Alright, so after wasting 3 to 5 years of your time, money, wasted that, you might get there eventually, but yeah, you still have to burn a lot of midnight oil, pulling your hair and wondering why your website doesn't look like, and even if you follow the tutorial closely. Now, one thing that I can suggest is, why don't you just learn from a proven system of full stack development and from somebody who has been there, done it, practicing it. And I'm also currently training hundreds of people. So all the stuff I'm teaching you does not require special machine or special software, right? You just need a normal laptop and you're on your good way to build your own full stack applications. You don't need to set up expensive servers and trying to configure it anymore, right? That's the system that I have personally built and learned and done it for more than 20 years already. So if you are interested and want to pursue a tech career, this is what we have offered. A full stack development 360 certification is a guided web development program for building great technologies and digital products. So in FS360 certification, and that's why we call it a 360 degree program, because we cover all the aspects that you need to know to build a full stack application. Now it's a hybrid training models where we have physical classes and also online trainings. 9 to 5 p.m. at Sovo Petaling Jaya, starting this weekend, and you'll be trained and mentored by myself personally. So let's go through some of the training modules. Module 1 will teach you the basics, how do you set up a web development, workspace, HTML and CSS. Module 2, you will learn how to develop your front end. So learn the key concepts in JavaScript. Okay, JavaScript is the most popular language in that's currently used in the tech world. So we'll teach you JavaScript, jQuery, and of course Bootstrap that I've shown you before. Module 3, you will learn back-end development instead. Learn how to write Node.js code and build your own web servers using Express.js. And then module 4, you will learn how to create front-end components using Vue.js, one of the 4 heavenly kings front-end frameworks and libraries, to build a single-page application like the one like Facebook. Okay, so what SPA does is, you can build a single page but loads data from a lot of different places. So imagine Facebook, you have friend requests, you have inbox, you have notifications, you have your posts, images and stuff. They don't load together at the same time, right? It's doing something what we call lazy loading. Only when you scroll to the bottom, you'll trigger the server to send you more details to load again. When you have friends talking to you, then they will send you an inbox notification, something like that. So that's what we call single page application without any refresh. Everything works in the single place. And how do you handle events and two-way data binding? And in module 5, we are going to show you how to set up real-time databases using Firebase and CRUD operations, or CRUD, create, retrieve, update and delete data using Firebase, and linking your web applications with Firebase as well. Module 6, we are going to build a full-scale applications by implementing architectures, RESTful architectures, API endpoints, and also custom routes. Custom routes are those that you see like facebook.com/delete.io. Those are custom routes. Okay, it's not configured manually; it's configured programmatically using codes. And module 7 and 8 is just to wrap things up. So we teach you how to secure a website, send email from our applications, and understand DNS and registration of register your own domain so that we can deploy it to the cloud. So these are the things that we are going to cover in the Full Stack 360 program, the key tools, libraries, and frameworks that we are going to use. The value is 2,083 ringgit already. So one question that you might ask is, Dr. Lau, there are many tools out there, right? Okay, I might agree with you that the one that you have told me are the right ones, but how can I be certain that you are learning the right ones? Okay, so the evidence are here. You learn how to build websites just like how Facebook, Google, eBay, Lazada, AirBNB, and Grab build their website. You are learning the tools that are trusted by these brands. These are part of the tools that they use. The only difference here is that they are building a much more complicated applications at a much larger scale. When you first started, you are using the same thing, and then you slowly grow your applications, right? Remember, I've mentioned to you earlier, on your left hand side, this is Facebook. Okay, this is Facebook looks like when it's 2006, and now this is how Facebook look like. This is 2019 already. Yeah, so everything that we use are the same. It's just that we slowly improve. The design trend have changed. We evolve into a newer version. Everybody starts somewhere, and the difference between the first version and the current version is the complexity and the scale. And behind the scene is still powered by HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, now let's talk about our physical class first. When it comes to physical class, most people are afraid of asking questions. They cannot follow lah, paiseh lah. So the problems of physical class, I will talk about it later about the solution. We have 4 days physical class training in March, which is 23, 24th this weekend, 30, 31st March 2019. Alright, 9 to 5 at Sovo Petaling Jaya, and we'll have a mini hackathon at the very last day. At the very end, you'll be trained and mentored by myself personally with experienced instructors, which is Edmund and Ziyuan. Edmund is a data scientist at AirAsia, but he was a very experienced full stack developer in startups like Watch Over Me. And Ziyuan is the CTO of Tide Analytics. He is also a full stack developer, very well experienced in JavaScript. So these are the two honored instructors that will be joining us this round, okay, to impart their skills to you. So I was talking about the questions, the problem with physical class, right? Is that because some of you might have learned from all the online tutorials, YouTube, Udemy, Coursera, and you realize that when you want to ask questions, you can't ask questions, right? Because there's only limited support. So that's why we have the physical class, and we call it a hybrid model. Now, for physical class, you have other problems because sometimes you cannot catch up what Dr. Lau is talking, or things like when you listen to us teaching, it works, but then when you go home, right, it doesn't work. So we also provide online e-learning platform for you as well. Okay, to maximize your learning, we do provide an online e-learning platform too. So this is how our online e-learning platform looks like. Okay, there's a video here with descriptions and with a course navigation at the site, so that every topics that you don't understand, it follows the setup, the flow of our module, so that the topics that you don't understand, you can rewatch the video and refresh it again. Okay, so that's why I call it the hybrid model, because you learn in physical class, okay, to have contact hours with myself and the instructors, but you also have the e-learning platform where you can rewatch all the concepts that you need further clarifications. Okay, so this is what we are going to teach, and you are going to follow here. Most of the tutorials out there, right, they only teach you bits by bit. So the difficulty comes when you try to piece things together. So some of you, they teach you front end only. Some of you, they talk about back end, but you do not have a unified picture that how all these things fall into place, right? And then you need to connect to database, Google Analytics, external services, and deploy it to the server. So it might seem a bit overwhelming, but this is what we are going to cover during the 4-day class. Okay, so you learn how to build your back-end services, you learn how to code your front end, and then link it with external tools, store it in databases, and then you deploy it to the servers. Okay, so what you can do after the class, after you have graduated, you can build your own website. I wouldn't call it websites anymore, right? You can build your own web applications. So for example, this is a social music website or travel platform like AirBNB. There's no difference between this one and the one that we've just built in terms of functionality. After all, booking website is all about picking the items, entering the date, time, and then submit them for server to process. But the only thing is you have different steps and different business logics. Otherwise, at the minimum, you can also revamp your old school corporate website and introduce some of the elements like dashboard, tables, and make the website more dynamic than static, right? A lot of government websites are very, very static already. So this is what makes Shen Long believe that it helps. So if it's not because of Full Stack 360, right, the knowledge that he have gained from the class, he wouldn't be able to apply it in his job. Okay, so he was my Full Stack 360 students before at Magic, and he tried to run his own startup, build his own products, and then eventually he joined Money Match now, and then he's the COO. Okay, so the dilemma of physical class is you don't really get to ask questions during class, right? And also you need to revise some of the key concepts, and you are okay with the labs, but when it comes to building your own products, you will face problems. But at the same time, even with online classes, right, you have the videos, etc. But the main thing is here, right? When you try to build your own products, you get stuck. A lot of our students, they learn online, they go through other tutorials and stuff. They face the same problem. Is that, yeah, they explain it quite in details, but I got stuck. I got questions lah, basically. Okay, so we are going to offer you 2 bonuses that help you to effectively solve this problem. Okay, number 1, access to private group. Now, those of you who have attended my webinars and other classes, you know, right? The support group is a Slack chat group, is to help you to overcome the problems or struggle that you have, right? When you actually don't understand it because the code is not well commented, or even if you look at the piece of code that you wrote yourself, right? You follow the tutorial 100%, but after 2 or 3 months, you open up, it's like, hey, how come the result is totally different? Okay, so this is what the private support group is for. We save you time from Googling, okay? Instead of go to Google, Stack Overflow, and try an error, you just have to ask in our group. So we have Facebook groups for you to ask questions, and then you get the response there, okay? And we also provide peer support. Leonard, I hope you are still here, right? This is Leonard. He's from Funding Society, and then he's posting to look for full stack developers, and we do answer students' questions here as well. Yeah, whenever usually the other students will answer faster than me. We have alumni of previous classes, and also other members from full stack developers, startup CTO, COO, digital marketing expert, data scientists, to AI machine learning engineers. So they all come from different backgrounds. We got startup, corporates, freelancers, finance, IT, engineers. So you can ask them questions for career advice as well. Okay, so stay connected with us. We have a private Facebook chat, a Slack chat group that you can use it to communicate with other students and myself and other instructors in real-time chat as well. Okay, so what you'll get out of this program is a kickstart of clear blueprint that guides you how to build your own product, ability to identify the right stack of technologies and talents need to grow your technical team. Now here's something different, is that you are learning JavaScript, so I can safely say that JavaScript is going to be the most popular language in the next 3 to 5 years. Not a problem at all, because 60 to 80% of the websites in the world are running on top of that sort of technologies. And I would say for all the front ends, right, they definitely need JavaScript. Okay, JavaScript is the only language that our browsers understand. But eventually, if you need to move on to other languages for work reason or whatsoever, you have no problem. You should have no problem changing it, and confidence to lead a technical team to build the next unicorn. Okay, so what's in the program is the 4 days online physical class with 4 day physical class with myself, online e-learning platform, course material, and source code for all the lab practicals. So all the source code for the lab practicals will be given to you. Okay, curated reference material so that you can continue to learn full stack development. So now you understand that why corporate classes will charge like 10 to 15,000 for something that is exactly the same, right? Or just even 5 to 6,000 just to learn how to build a front end, right? HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and probably teach you how to use Bootstrap and Vue.js. That's about it. Okay, so what if you have questions later? It's like, okay, let's say you understand that we have physical classes, you attended the physical class, and then you watch online videos, that's fine. Another question that you have now is, how long do you have access to the support group? Or because you might face problem down the road when you switch your career. You might not want to switch career right now, right? You want to switch career, let's say 6 months later or second half of the year. So that's where the second bonus comes in. Okay, now most of you will be worried about the program, the content, what about these updates, how you're going to help us. This is a unique thing that we provide at Lead, where for all our courses we provide a lifetime warranty. Okay, so you will have lifetime warranty to our online learning platform, Slack and Facebook private group. Okay, this is the this thing I have to explain a little bit. This is the last time we are offering the lifetime warranty for Slack and Facebook group. Your online e-learning platform and physical class refresher will be lifetime. Okay, your warranty will be lifetime. But Slack and Facebook support group, because we have too many people already, we can only offer it for a 12 months period. Okay, so what does lifetime warranty for physical class means is that you can always come back for a refresher. So it's March today, right? Our next day full stack 360 will be around June or July. So by then, if you think that, oh, you have questions and then you want to ask, all you have to do is just to drop myself, Ruben, or Chelsea an email saying that, hey, we're coming back, I'm coming back to take the upcoming class. Yeah, you are more than welcome to come back. Okay, you're always part of us. No, it's not going to cost you anything. We're not going to charge you a single cent. No question asked. No question asked. You just tell us that you are coming, and then you can come back and sit for the physical class refresher. For full stack, we have a couple of students is coming back this round. Data science, we have quite a bit of success story. Is that there's this student, he come back twice because he is not very clear about machine learning and AI stuff, and now he secured himself a data scientist job at Plus Touch and Go Malaysia already. Yeah, so this lifetime warranty worth more than 7,000 ringgit anytime, right? Now, for those that you have attended our webinar before, we always promise that if you stay till the end, we are going to give you a special webinar bonus. So for those of you who sign up Full Stack 360 tonight through the webinar, you're going to get a special bonus, which is, drumroll, Google Analytics Web Analytics Primer. Okay, Web Analytics Primer, which is a class that our head of marketing, Ruben, will be teaching you an online class on how to conduct web analytics properly using Google Analytics. Okay, so I would say that in this program you will learn how to monitor the performance of your website. Okay, from implementing it, tracking it, to identify the problems. Okay, so thanks for staying with us. We come to the end of our webinar. Now, if you're interested to take a Full Stack 360 certification program, it's a 4-day class starting this weekend and next weekend. All right, it's 4 days spent across 2 weekends. You'll be trained and mentored by myself personally with 2 very experienced instructors. They're all industry recognized instructors. They are very active in the scene. You have access to all the online trainings, source code templates, private support group, Web Analytics Primer. So if you sign up tonight, you'll get the Web Analytics Primer, and everything comes with a lifetime warranty, including the online videos as well. So meaning that we are currently teaching Bootstrap 4. If in the future there's Bootstrap 5 and Bootstrap 6, we'll update the video and then you will automatically have access to it. Yeah, we wouldn't ask you to pay anything extra. This is a little things that we can do to help you and make sure that this is the only course that you need to learn full stack web development. And I want to make sure that you're on your way to become a full stack developer or switch to a tech career. Okay, thank you very much. And Ruben will be posting the Ruben will take over from here. Okay, thank you, Ruben.
Okay. All right. Dr.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So, guys, I